All right, we're doing it again. The second live stream attempt. And this is StreamYard. This should work fine. I don't know what's the problem. So I'm gonna wait for some of you guys to show up because this is not a scheduled live stream, so it's gonna be only people who get a notification or something that will show up. I was almost enjoying the live streams again. Almost. But then again, a mistake has to occur. Let me know if you guys can see me or hear me. I don't see anyone for now, so I guess we'll have to wait. But once you join, drop me a comment, and yeah, hopefully we can chat again because this is. Oh, I can see myself on YouTube, so I guess I'm live. It's just a question now that people from the previous live stream have to join this one. Guys, come back. Yes, some people are coming. Thank you. Again, live stream, technology. What's wrong? What's happening? I don't like you. Second time you're breaking me up. Like in the middle of my thought, my deepest thought, you're changing me. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, thank you guys. Thank you. Well, we're back, I guess. I don't know what's wrong. StreamYard is having problems. Anyways, where were we? We're discussing Ramadan. We were discussing how I'm fasting, how I'm doing this, how I'm doing iftar, that and this and the other. And then we were going into Al-Ghazali. Al-Ghazali, who is a very important person in Islam. So do you guys know him? Let me know in the comment section. And then, yeah, I was showing you guys. This one is Letter to a Disciple. It's a good book. I haven't read it yet. I'm in the middle. So hopefully I'm going to finish it today. This one, however, Al-Ghazali on Knowing Yourself and God. It's a very short book. It's got like 40 pages. And as I was saying, I'm highlighting certain parts which are like super important. And yeah, this one is really great. A very short book and really great. I had to order them from the UK. But yeah, I see some comments, so I'm going to check it out. Al-Ghazali and Ego. Is that a book? Let's see. Salam. Assalamu alaikum. Salam debating. Have you read Submission, Faith, and Beauty: The Religion of Islam? No, I haven't. Let me know what that is. I was trying to look up some books from like some very important scholars from the past, or some theologians, or people who in Islam who changed culture. Like he was a Sufi. He changed he didn't change Islam, but he changed he reinstated Islam in his generation. He lived in, I think, 1058 until 1111. So I don't know if I said it correctly, but basically 1,000 years ago. And just a quick summary, just a quick short bio. Al-Ghazali is a philosopher, but also theologian, which is also like a great combination. And he's considered to be, by many, to be the greatest Muslim thinker after the great companions. Obviously, he lived 400 years after them. His life and thought played a major role in determining the ethical and spiritual values of medieval society and continues to be influential throughout the world today. Yeah, and definitely some of his ideas are super important. And he's really, really great. Been looking forward to the stream. Tell us about him. Yeah, book recommendations: Divine Reality, Forbidden Prophecies, Eternal Challenge. Those are great, but those are by guys who are reading. Like, I think Divine Reality is by Hamza Tortis, and like these guys are great. But I'm focused on like original sources of knowledge. So Al-Ghazali, and then obviously you have the even older pieces. But it's good, guys, if you not just look up the sources on the websites of these Dawa institutes, but also check them for yourself, because you're getting it from a third party. So just purchase the original source. Like these two books were not able. I was not able to buy them here. They had to be shipped from the UK for 3 weeks, but eventually I got it. And really, this one is a masterpiece on knowing yourself and God. And basically, Al-Ghazali is such an important figure. He was, I think, at the university he was teaching in Baghdad, and he was originally from Iran. And his entire life is summed up in this Letter to a Disciple, where his student is actually asking him, hey, can you give me some advice on how to live life? And Al-Ghazali is older, I think he's in his 50s, and he's basically summing up everything he learned about the world, Quran, everything in this book. And it's truly profound. So before you read this, you need to read the introduction so that you can really grasp what he's saying, because he's a philosopher as well. So he was not trying to, but his whole point is to rationally get into. He's trying to rationally grasp the existence of Allah and then following Islam, and it led him to have two, I think, episodes in his life where he almost completely left Islam because he was only called Muslim by name, as he said, and he had deep personal issues with the faith, and then he basically break through it, and he describes his entire experience in the books. And then he also created the new categories for science, for knowledge, for how you get to know the truth. And this is how we know what is the truth, because you can follow a religion blindly, but that's not something I would like to do, because it's not something that I'm not that kind of guy that just follows blindly something. Of course, once I have the conviction, I will follow it, but I also want to learn about the wisdom behind these things and different things. And that's why Al-Ghazali is such a great thinker for me, because he really goes in depth into everything. And I think he is one of the most important philosophers in the world. Like René Descartes and all the French and British philosophers were actually looking at his books when they were writing some stuff. So it's important for you to read Al-Ghazali, at least some of his books. And I think you can start with this one on knowing yourself and God. And basically, there's so many things I can go through. And I just want to kind of go through the book and kind of talk about some highlighted parts, because they are really profound. And that's something I would love to do. What's happening here? Have you read Ibn Arabi? No, I haven't. Let me know what kind of books does he have. Reading primary sources, great. Yeah, it's like somebody's telling you about the Quran, but you never read it. So that's what happened to me. I was interested in Islam because somebody was delivering the message of Islam, whether on YouTube or in some book or something. But I haven't read the Quran. So I can hear the message and it's appealing and it's like great, but you have to read the source. So whether that's Al-Ghazali, whether you want to read about the Prophet Muhammad's life, peace be upon him, or anything, you go to the source so that you can extract the most amount of knowledge that's not corrupted by anyone. And you know that Quran wasn't translated for a long periods of time, and there's a reason for it. So you have to go to the original source of knowledge in anything you do. So I like the institutes you're mentioning here, Said, Sapiens and Aira. And I think they have a lot of knowledge available, but it can get overwhelming, and then you kind of rely on them to tell you what you should think. It's better if you just take their knowledge, but also look up just study for yourself. You have to study your deen. You can't just rely on somebody else to tell you what's good and what's bad. So I know not everybody has time to do this, obviously, but this is something you have to do. Let's read something from this book, because this is really fascinating. For example, this chapter is called Guarding One's Activities, and Al-Ghazali is saying, recognize truly that from every move you make, a trait is acquired by the heart, which remains with you and accompanies you to the next world. These traits are called morals. They all spring from 4 qualities. For example, if you submit to the pig of lust or appetite, the attributes of fullness, shamelessness, greed, and hypocrisy, greed, rejoicing in the misfortune of others, envy will appear in you. But if you master it and control it with discipline, intelligence, and the religious law, then the attributes of contentment, self-restraint, modesty, peace, piety, moderation, and will appear in you. If you submit to the dog of anger, he's giving this clear analogy, but this is awesome. Like if you submit to the dog of anger, the attributes of rashness, impurity, boastfulness, flaunting, treachery, self-importance, oppression, and demeaning others or assaulting others will appear in you. But if you master and control this dog with discipline, patience, and endurance, forgiveness, firmness, courage, boldness, and generosity will appear in you. So this is the second trait. So first was pig, which is your desires. Second is dog. Now he goes into Satan. If you submit to Satan, whose work it is to arouse and encourage the pig and the dog to teach them trickery and deceit, then the attributes of deceptiveness, treachery, fraud, mean-spiritedness, trickery, and adulteration will appear in you. But if you overcome him and are not deceived by his hypocrisy, if you give victory to the army of reason, then gnosis, learning, wisdom, rectitude, good character, greatness, and leadership will appear in you. And if these good attributes stay with you, then they will be among your lasting good deeds and the seeds of your happiness. Those deeds from which bad characteristics arise are called sins, and those from which good characteristics arise are called obedience to God. The conduct and the rests of a person are not free from either of these. The heart is like a bright mirror. And then he goes on to quoting Quran and stuff like that. But I love his metaphors where he kind of tells you that you all have dogs in you. Everybody who's watching has a dog who's like this anger and frustration and your ego, basically. Then you have your desires, sexual desires, or any kind of desires for food or anything like that, which is your pig within you. And then you have the Satan, who's kind of giving you these whispers and stuff. And then you have the angelic side. The angelic side is your good side. That's like if you give charity or if you forgive people. So you have these four sides. And those three sides, so the pig, the dog, and the Satan, are foreign. So they were artificially created in you because even animals have them. So even animals can be angry or can lust and have their desires. But a human being can also do the angelic thing, which is the reason and intellect. He calls it, if you use your reason and intellect, that's how you get above these desires. And basically, the animal has these desires and the human has these desires as well, but he needs to learn to control them. And that is the purpose. You can't get rid of them. It's impossible, he says. Everybody has them. But those people who choose to go fulfill their desires through anger, through this or Satan or something, those will be the losers in the hereafter. And as he says, with every action, you are creating your morals in your heart. Heart is not just like your organ. Heart is like your soul, the core of who you are, which is going to be basically brought back on the resurrection day. And he's saying that with every action, you're creating your moral compass. And the moral compass will then reflect light. And so this light you have to collect. So this is the angelic the angelic attributes that he described before. And the way you do it, you control the other three things. You control the Satan, you control the dog, you control your anger. How you control it? You follow Islam, you follow religion. But he breaks it down beautifully because it's sometimes not clear how to think about all these things and how to tie it back together. But he can tie it back, and I think it's really great. Just this kind of one page that I've read, and there's 50. And he's like, just this chapter is called The Origin of the Human Being and in the Essence of Angels. And it's, I mean, I'm going to read this as well because this is awesome. I hope you guys will enjoy this. Since in men there are the attributes of beasts of prey, other animals, satans, and angels, how do we know that his origin lies in the essence of the angel and not the other attributes? So he's asking, how do you know that you're not the beast? How do you know that you shouldn't follow your desires? How do we actually know that the angelic side is the right side? It's a great question. How do we know that he has been created for angelicness and the moral nature of the angels so that he may acquire that and not for the other non-angelic traits, which are the ones that we described? Know that you recognize this because you know that a human being is nobler and more perfect than animal and predatory beasts. Everything to which perfection may have been given, which is his final stage, is the reason for his having being created. For example, the horse is nobler than the donkey because the donkey was created to carry burdens, while the horse was created for running, warfare, and so that it runs and canters beneath the rider as necessary. It has also been given the strength to carry burdens like the donkey, but it has also been given increased perfection, which has not been given to the donkey. So if the horse is not up to his task, then it is made into a pack animal and falls to the level of donkey. This becomes its ruin and abasement. In the same way, some suppose that man has been created for eating, sleeping, copulating, and taking pleasure and spending all their time in these things. Some, like the Arabs, the Kurds, and the Turks, suppose that man was created for dominion, violence, and conquest. Both groups are wrong. For eating and copulating are lust or carnal appetites. These have also been given to the quadrupeds. A camel can eat more than a man, and the copulation of sparrows is more frequent than that of mankind. So how are humans superior to them? And basically, I don't want to go through the entire book, but he goes into why are we supposed to reflect the angelic forms. I think I have it highlighted here, where he says, so the true nature of a human being is that his perfection and his nobility lie within him, and other attributes are foreign and acquired. So the other attributes that we discussed, the beast, the dog, the anger, these are foreign. These are like planted in you. But the real attribute is the angelic form, because this was created in Jannah before you were brought down to earth. Then he says, for this reason, when you die, neither anger or lust remains. None of these foreign things that were planted in your heart will remain there. They all gone, because you don't have a body anymore. Your lust, everything is gone. What's left? The angelic, the soul. And then he goes into whatever his appetite was, he satisfied in this world. His heart is turned to. This is a crazy metaphor. So he's warning people whose hearts are like longing for this world. He says, whatever his appetite was, he satisfied in this world. His heart is turned to this world for his appetites. His desires are of this world. But this world is beneath the next world. Just like the donkey is beneath the horse, and the human being is above the rest of the animal kingdom because we have this angelic side. The angel, we're above the angels probably, and above us is God and maybe something else. The dunya, this world, is like beneath. It's the lowest world. There's the next world, and people who are looking at this world as to satisfy their desires, he's saying, you're missing the point. There's the next world. Thus his face was looking downward and inverted. This is the meaning of what he said, when the guilty hang their heads before their Lord. Such people will be with Satan. So basically, beautiful analogy where he's saying people who get confused with this dunya, with this world, and they just go after the desires and the dog and everything like that. This world will be there, but this world is beneath the next one. The next one is much more greater. It's much more grand. There's no time. There's no space. It's forever. It's eternal. This world is limited. You will die. There is time. There is space. You can't do everything. You have your body. You're limited. You need to pee. You need to go to the toilet. There's so many things you need to do, right? And the next world, none of this happens. But people choose this world because they are blind. They haven't been given the message, right? In whatever shape or form. But yeah, it's truly beautiful. I'm gonna read some comments because I've been reading for a while. So let me check what's going on. Interesting analogy of horse and donkey. So man has the ability to choose which status he wants, greater than angels or lower than the beast. Exactly. You can choose with your own actions and with your own will if you want to follow the angels or if you want to follow the beast or the dog or whatever with your carnal lusts. The choice is yours, but you have been created not to follow eating, sleeping, or whatever, but we know what you've been called, right? Not called, but what you've been created for. To recognize your angelic self, to really reflect on your creation, and then recognize that you can only reflect this light. You have been given this light, but this light has a source. The source is Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so he is the original source. He gave you this light, and you reflect it. If you decide to have sins or whatever and you cloud it, then that's your problem, right? And you're gonna be held accountable. It's very good. Boy, 2 books for beginners. Ghazali media and belief. Alrighty. Good man. Spirituality is indeed an intellectual journey, a journey which takes one from materialism to a world of meaning. Spirituality makes one a human being. The person whose life is devoid of spirituality is no different from the animals. I agree with that. Gumnam. I agree with that. That's basically how you should do it. Can you invite Yusuf Ponder's friend Jake, the Muslim metaphysician? He's a fan of Al-Ghazzali and his degree in philosophy. Yeah, sure. But I mean, there's many people I can invite, but I will see. I will see. Maybe I will. What is this? Sometimes your accent sounds like Pavlov from Speaker's Corner. He's Ukrainian atheist, but mashallah, you're good. What's? Is Pavlov Polish? I have no idea what you're saying, Athery. Dang. Am I Pavlov from Poland or Ukrainian atheist? I don't think you can correlate my accent with any other human being, like just because you heard him in the Speaker's Corner. But yeah, maybe. I will check that out. Ghazali's book, Knowing Yourself and God. Yes. Which book is this? Yeah, it's Ghazali, Knowing Yourself. I'm holding it like on Knowing Yourself and God. Really buy this. This is a crazy book. It's just 40 pages, but every chapter is a bombshell of knowledge. And this will increase your iman. This is going to increase your iman. Where's that beautiful beard? I never had a beard, but who had a beard? Let me know. I will add this book to my reading list. Yes. All right, guys. So let's continue. And let's find something really good. I mean, this book ties into whatever you want it to tie. So he talks about the veil. He talks about the prophets and everything like that. Not, for example, this one is really good. The veiling of the way. From all that has gone before, the nobility of the human essential nature and what the way of the Sufis has been made clear. Certainly you've heard say knowledge is a veil obstructing this way, and you have rejected it. Do not reject those words, for they are true. Why? When you become occupied with and immersed in sensory perceptions and all the knowledge obtained by means of them, they become veil. So what he's saying is, like, you can't just use your senses as an empirical science to get to know the truth, because this will become your veil. You won't be able to see further, which is beautiful. He destroys science really in some in a nutshell. But basically, this is his great metaphor. What he's saying: the similitude of the heart is your soul. The heart is a pool. And the similitude of the senses is 5 channels of water that flow into that pool from the outside. If you wish for pure water to rise from the bottom of the pool, it must be done in this fashion. All of the water must be removed from the pool, and all of the mud which has been deposited by that water cleaned out. The channels must be closed off so that water does not flow in front of them. Then the bottom of the pool must be excavated until pure water rises from within the pool. As long as the pool is occupied by that water which has come in from the outside, it is not possible for the internal water to well up. In the same way, the knowledge which comes from inside the heart will not appear until the heart is emptied of all that has entered it from the outside. Know that no truth has been disclosed to a person who learned the way of disputation in defense of belief. Since he supposes that what he possesses is all, this supposition becomes his veil. According to how much this supposition that he has learned something has mastered a person, the more such people are veiled from this truth. Yeah, so he goes into debates and he talks about a lot, like that the knowledge of this world is useless, and like debates are basically also useless. But anyhow, yeah. And oftentimes he talks to people who choose these senses as stupid. So for example, he says, As for carnal appetite, anger, sensory perception by means of the five senses, these themselves are for dumb animals. And then he says, when he's talking about God, I think, and he's using analogy where an impotent man is asking you, what's it like to have sexual orgasm? And he's writing him back as an answer to this question, like, oh, I knew you are impotent, but I didn't think that you are stupid also. Because, like, how can I describe sexual orgasm to you if you're impotent? It can be only first person experience. Yeah, I can't tell you like, oh, you know what I feel? I feel this sensation, I feel this, and it's never gonna do it justice, the thing that I feel really. So what he's saying is like, you have these first person experiences that you cannot describe to anyone. They have to be lived. You have to go through them. And that's basically the biggest, and I think the best argument any Muslim has against atheism, or anyone who disproves the existence of God. Like, you are living, you have consciousness, you have the first person experience that cannot be tested, it cannot be put into a lab. And that's his strongest argument. Like, that first person experience, I think in the Quran it says the angels are closer to you than your veins, so they are like here. And yeah, that's what it is. That person whose appetite for other things is stronger in his spirit than the appetite for the gnosis of the divine presence in his spirit will be wretched in the next world and ruined if he's not cured. The spirit is not destroyed at death. So he's saying basically, you have this heart. This heart will never be destroyed. It always goes further. It goes on, and death only destroys your body, your lusts, your whatever. But yeah, your afterlife is gonna be down to the heart. Did you take care of it? We'll see. Yeah, this is crazy. Like, should someone send you his captive or a slave, let's say, to work for you for a day, you will spend a lifetime thanking him. Yet you do not remember he who has sent thousands of workmen inside your body to serve you, servants who do not pause for one moment in their service during your entire lifetime, such as your cardiovascular veins, your heart, your liver. He goes into anatomy of a human being and he breaks down each organ and how complex it is, and how from a sperm a human life evolves. And he says, like, you should be definitely thankful for this. Why are we not really thankful? And he says the body is like a horse and the heart is like the rider. The object of the creation is the rider, not the mount or the horse. The horse is for the rider, not the rider for the horse. However, let this also be said so that you may know that you cannot completely comprehend yourself so easily, even though there is nothing nearer to you than you. A person who does not know himself and claims to know something else is like a bankrupt who cannot feed himself but claims to give food to all the poor of the city, and then they eat his bread. This is both absurd. I mean, he's just on another level, right? So yeah, just beautiful, beautiful book. And I'm gonna make a video next week, basically, about his analogy between knowing God and knowing yourself. And he breaks it down in, I think, 2 or 3 pages, but I found it really beautiful. I'm gonna break it down in a video with more kind of high production value, as I did my last one about the existential angst. So definitely watch that, because it's gonna be maybe up next week, Friday, Thursday, and yeah, it's gonna be really awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. Man, 2 more hours to iftar. I can't wait. No, I'm not that hungry, but the water is sometimes pretty tough. But yeah, guys, let me know what you thought. But really, if you don't know Al-Ghazali and you like philosophy and you like to learn and you like the reason and you like to know the arguments and you want to have the arguments, the best arguments available, read Al-Ghazali's book on knowing yourself and God. If you're a Muslim, this is something you must read, especially if you're an intellectual, because you will have such a strong arguments. He basically This was written 1,000 years ago, and it's like he was writing it yesterday. And at the end, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I'm gonna read this because I think this is. He ends the book with this, but this is the most important thing nowadays that we have when it comes to modern life and atheism and everything like that. The chapter is called "The Ignorance of the Libertines." The libertines at his time were probably like free thinkers, and he gives 7 descriptions to people who don't believe in God or something like that. Now, let me read it out because this is truly amazing and this could deserve another video. So what he says, basically imagine libertines as atheists, modern atheists, new age atheists. Those who are libertines have erroneously abrogated the limits of God's command. Their ignorance has 7 forms. The first form is the ignorance of some who do not believe in God. May he be glorified and honored. Why? Because they have searched for him in the treasury of imagination and whim and sought his quality and nature. Since they have not found these, they deny him and have shifted matters to the stars and physical nature, astronomy. They have supposed that this human person and the other animate beings, this marvelous world with all of its wisdom and arrangement, have come into existence by itself, or has it itself always existed, or that it is a natural accident, having no knowledge of itself, much less anything else. They are like the person who looks at a specimen of fine writing and thinks that it wrote itself without the hand of an able and knowledgeable and willing scribe, or that it has always existed so written. How can a person so utterly blind perceive the way of spiritual happiness? The manner of the error of the naturalist and the astrology has been discussed above. The second form is some people's ignorance of the hereafter. They have decided that man is like a plant or an animal. When he dies, he becomes non-existent. There is no castigation for him, no punishment, no spiritual reward. The cause of this position is the ignorance of the one's own self. They know themselves as they know donkeys, cattle, or plants. They do not know the spirit, which is the reality of man, that is everlasting and never dies, but the body will be taken back from him, and that is called death. The third form is the ignorance of those persons who believe in God and in the hereafter, but they have a very weak belief, weak iman. However, they do not understand the significance of the religious law. They say, what does God, may he be exalted and glorified, need of my worship? And what harm is there in my sinning? It's like somebody believes in God, but they are still sinning, right? He is a king and able to do without the people's worship. My worship and sin are the same to him. And these ignoramuses, he calls them ignoramuses, still see that in the Quran he says, and he who purifies himself purely, purifies himself only for his own good, and whoever strives hard for himself. Whoever does good, it is for his own soul. What he's trying to tell you guys here is that you're not doing these acts of goodness for God. He doesn't need you. You're doing it for your own salvation in the hereafter. As the Quran mentions, you're purifying yourself for your own good. You're being good for your own soul, for the hereafter. And these people that think like they can still sin and be believers, they don't get it. This backslider is ignorant of the religious law. He supposes that the meaning of the religious law is that the work must be done on behalf of God, not for oneself. It is as though a sick man does not abstain from something injurious and says, what difference does it make to the doctor whether I obey his orders or not? This is correct, but the sick man perishes, not because of the need of a doctor, but because his way to ruin was in not abstaining. The doctor has guided him and showed him the way, but he was the loser. There's so many, guys. I'm not going to mention it because it's really too much, but go get this book. No affiliation, nothing, but go get this book. It will really open your eyes, especially if you're new to Islam, or if you've been in Islam for a while. Go get Al-Ghazali's book, and it will make you smarter, for sure. So next week, basically on Tuesday, I'm dropping a stream with Daniel. Not stream, it's a premiere video with Daniel, Muslim Skeptic. We had recorded it on Friday. I think the most important podcast I had. It's about morality in atheism. It's about evolution as well. It's about cosmology, chemistry, and everything. And we're talking about the future of a modern world, brave new world. There's a TV show like that in the book, and we're discussing in depth these things. And it's really something I really enjoyed it, and I think you guys will really enjoy it as well. I think Daniel will destroy all arguments that you can think of. So that's something you can look forward to. And then on later the week, I'm gonna make a video from Al-Ghazali's book. So yeah, by the way, thank you so much for watching this stream. I know it's been some time. It's been a second attempt. I'm gonna read some of the comments now and see what's going on. Wow, this is relevant even today. Yeah, like everything is relevant here. Sometimes he mentions slaves, sometimes he mentions a few other things, but if you take that out, it's still relevant. Like the doctor analogy, yes. So life is so important for atheists to fully understand in order for them to remove their mindset. The problem is atheists misunderstand who God is. God is not like his creation or like man. Yeah, but yeah, it's a very difficult problem. Also, we should never forget the trillions of microbes that keep us healthy and functioning. Without them, we cannot even survive. Yeah, I remember when I was studying biology in like high school, and we were learning about genes and some other things, and I was like really fascinated, like, wow, my body, like so many things, so many molecules and things are working in me. I don't even know it. And who am I? Like, I'm just this brain here. And what am I doing? Like, I'm just getting drunk or just talking to people on the street and just like living this life. But what is my purpose if my biology is so complex? Like, just reflecting on your own universe within you is truly, truly amazing. Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes around in another form. Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. Yes. Well, the atheist will say, well, technically stars exploded and the dust from stars formed planets, and the planet is Earth, and you are from that planet. The carbon made life, and so you are part of the stars, and that should make you feel great. It does make you feel good. When I was atheist and I was listening to these arguments, I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I was among the first stars. But it's like, it doesn't really make you happy. Allah is closer to us than our jugular veins, in the sense that Allah is all hearing, all seeing, controlling of everything. Yeah. I think in the Quran it says like we are closer to you, but maybe you're right. I'm not sure about that. I wasn't reading it from the book. But it also describes the angels. So the angels for Allah are like your veins in your body for you. So they work for you, you don't even know it. So they work for Allah, and it's there's a beautiful chapter which I'm gonna make a video about on how Allah organizes affairs in the universe, according to Al-Ghazali, and it's really mind-blowing. I heard the doctor analogy from a modern book. The author probably took it from Ghazali. Yeah, everybody took everything from Ghazali, because in the West, or where I grew up, I had a philosophy class in the uni. We never learned Al-Ghazali. I didn't even know who this guy is. We never learned about Islam. We never learned anything. We just learned about our philosophers in the West. So yeah, it's a pity, because there's so many great thinkers, but it's just because his name is Al-Ghazali. What is this? Some terrorist? I'm not gonna learn about him. That's how people think here. Like, it's so stupid. You know. Have you heard about the personal? Yeah, I did hear about it. I did my test on it. I don't think anything of it. I think it's fine, but I don't think it's that specific. It's important to know why belief in God is true. Looking into philosophical knowledge gives us in-depth understanding of why it's true. Yeah, but you have to pick, because there's so many philosophy that can misguide you and ultimately destroy you, which you don't want. I'm not saying pick the truth, but really search for the truth, and you will find it. And it's, there are many shifts that have to happen in your brain for that as well. Like with Daniel, we talked about one thing that, there's this progress. You're always progressing into finding the truth. And with enough time, we will discover many things. With what are we really discovering? Like, let's take, for example, just the homosexual behavior, which is now more, let's say, out there than it used to be like 20 years ago. And this is called progress. This is something where we're progressing. But if we look at 5,000 years ago, or even in the Roman Empire, it was already practiced there and they stopped it because it was immoral. So where are we really progressing? It's an old idea. It's very old, but it's just coming back. So where's this progress? Is it backwards? Because people who say Islam is old, it does not apply here. You can just tell them, well, democracy is old. Democracy is older than Islam. Homosexuality is older than Islam. All these things are older than Islam. So it doesn't mean that with time you will come across some new realization. There's no correlation between that. So there's so many these mind shifts that can happen. How's the fasting going? It's going well, man. It's going well. It's haram to kill frogs. What? Is that real, or is that just your name? Yes, true, Volsunk. Check out Maulana Wahiduddin Khan's literature. You will find the full wisdom. I will. I just have so many books now in my bookshelf that I have to finish, and then I will definitely check out some other ones. God turns you from one feeling to another and teaches by means of opposites. Do you think ego is the reason the West reject Islam for so many centuries? Do you view Islam as a real threat? Ego is the reason the West... I don't know. It's just... I don't think it's any of those. I think it's ignorance. Like when I was anti-Islam, really, I would say. Because I thought like there's pedophile rings in Islam. There's murder, terrorism. They want to overthrow us. There's too many babies that are born from Muslim families, so there's more of them. So yeah, there's a threat. There's like, what are we doing about them? And so yeah, it's kind of looked upon as like something weird. So I wouldn't say it's the ego or anything. It's just like these are barbaric people. But yeah, just ignorant. That comes from ignorance. So you need a lot of education to really tell people that it's not like that. For the first living cell formed by coincidence, why do you believe this? Without proof, we cannot even create a single living cell. Yeah, that was one of the questions we were discussing with Daniel. Like, how can you move from chemistry to biology? How can you do that? How can you create life from not life? So you don't have life, you don't have biology, and you create life from it. How is that possible? It is. Also ants. What? Really? Guys, let me know if this is true. But hey, cool name. I haven't killed any frog, so I'm good on that thing. And ants, I think I killed a bunch of those. So I have to stay busy. But anyways, thank you guys. Thank you that you showed up for the second live stream, because I know it's pain in the ass and the first one didn't work. But thank you for showing up. And next week we're gonna do it on Saturday or Sunday again, and it's gonna be about something else, and we'll see what happens. I'm gonna break my iftar, pray my tarawih today, hopefully, inshallah, and yeah, I'm looking forward to stay connected with you. I think a lot of YouTubers have like YouTube family where they say like, welcome to the family. I don't feel like that, but if you have any suggestions, let me know. Like, welcome to the debating family. Sounds strange. It's like artificial. Killing animals unnecessarily is haram in general. Yes, I agree. Killing life. Good, guys. Let's see each other next week. In the meantime, get this book. It's like $5 or $10 or £10, whatever your currency is. Get this book. It's gonna be shipped to you from the UK. I think I got it from bookreads.com. And really, if you start reading Al-Ghazali, he's like the main guy to read. And then you can go into others. But Al-Ghazali is definitely the main guy. Enjoy the iftar. I also suggest you read the works of Ibn Taymiyyah. Yes, there's so many. Like I just don't have time, but I will. May I'll keep you on the straight path, bro. Yeah, Ramadan Kareem, Ramadan Mubarak. I didn't know what Mubarak means, actually. I was like, what is this Mubarak? Is this a name? And then I found out it's happy. it's funny. But anyways, thank you. What are you having for iftar? It's going to be pizza, like homemade pizza. And then, yeah, I'm going to just do pizza. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next week. And Please, if you can, go to the video that I have about the emptiness or self existential angst and try to, I don't know, like it or something, because I think that this video can be really pushed to a wider atheist audience. And I think it can like get some more views and really help people to really see that their life is miserable. So if you can, try to do it. If not, it's okay. And I'll make another one next week. See you guys, and assalamu alaikum.